Welcome back to Real Talk Sports with Rico, and we're answering the question of if the Minnesota Vikings are going to be in for a tough season ahead. And I think initially that the Minnesota Vikings are probably going to be in a tough season this year. I think that, a lot of their success is going to start with the quarterback play. And we're just looking at, some articles that pretty much went through the entire division, and I thought this was a great piece because it talks about really what the quarterback play is going to mean to the Minnesota Vikings. And it talks about Coach Kevin O'Connell and his importance on the quarterback position. And it's no big secret that when Minnesota had a great season, a couple seasons ago, they had great quarterback play from Kirk Cousins. They were hitting Justin Jefferson. The offense was clicking really just on all cylinders. And I think that that's going to be a bit of a challenge for the Minnesota Vikings this year, considering that they're starting with Sam Darnold, who is coming over on a 1-year, $10 million deal. And I know it's going to be a pass heavy offense. I think one of the real issues for the Minnesota Vikings was they couldn't necessarily get the ball moving on the ground. I think that that's why they went out and they signed Aaron Jones coming over from the Packers. So I think that that's going to help. He's certainly looking pretty quick right now in mini camp and things like that, or camp, I should say right now, not mini camp, but in training camp right now. He's looking really good. And so I think that this is one of the major issues, I think, for this Minnesota Vikings team is just the fact of can they get some good quarterback play? And I think that it is going to be a disaster for the Vikings if they have to go to J.J. McCarthy right away. And he's coming over from the Michigan program. If you're familiar with college football, he just won it with Jim Harbaugh in college. And I think that Jim Harbaugh is more of a run-first offense. And, I think by him sitting back and learning from learning from Sam Darnold, he's going to be able to go out here and learn how to run the pass heavy offense, because I think that he's going to have to step into something that he hasn't necessarily done in college. And not saying that he can't do it. And he's looking pretty good. I think in camp, he's fitting the ball in the tight windows and things like that, but he may not necessarily have the running game that he's had in the past with that Michigan University team. So, that's going to be a bit of a challenge if they have to go with J.J. McCarthy early. I think the wide receiver play is probably one of the most stable positions on this particular team. You look at what they have with Justin Jefferson. They have Jordan Addison coming over from USC, who had a really good year and definitely showed that he could absolutely come in and he can be a primary wide receiver, which is good because Justin Jefferson just got paid this offseason, and he's really focused in regards to winning and things like that. And then they also have T.J. Hawkinson, who's come over at the tight end position. You're hoping that he's able to stay healthy. So, the receiving tight end core, it can be lethal if it's on all pages, but that means that the quarterback play is going to have to be phenomenal, I think, for the Vikings. And I think that that's really where they're going to struggle. Defensively, it's going to be tough for them initially right now, because defensively they've lost cornerbacks thus far in camp. I think that they're a bit thin. And I think one of the things that they're talking about via ESPN here is that they might be looking for a cornerback like a Stephen Gilmore or an Xavier Howard, somebody that can really come in and give this unit some stability, because right now Shaquille Griffin has been injured. He's out with some tightness in the leg. And then they just lost another DB in training camp just a couple days ago as well. So, this is tough, I think, for the Minnesota Vikings. And when you're talking about the cornerback play, if they're going to be passing the ball, then more than likely that means that you're going to have a lot of defensive possessions out there, because you're going to have a lot of stops with the incompletions and things like that. The other team's going to get the ball And then I think that that's one of the things that was happening to Minnesota when they were even good with Kirk Cousins. I mean, it was one of those things where it would be like a 39-34 ball game for them because they're scoring a whole bunch of points. They're always passing it. They didn't really have a running game. So you're going to need corners on the back half to kind of slow other offenses down. And quite frankly, that's the way the NFL is played anyway right now, that they're literally going out there and they're trying to score as many points as possible. So, you don't like to see that with injuries thus far early. But yeah, they do have some injury concerns right now at the cornerback position. I think it was, Michi Blackman who went down on Wednesday. So yeah, just looking at some of their training camp reports here. So I think it is going to be a tough season for them. They finished 7-10. Right now I do have them at the bottom of the division this year. I think that what's going to happen to the Minnesota Vikings is that probably J.J. McCarthy is going to end up playing much sooner than the Vikings want. And I think that that's going to be a bit of a learning process for them. And I would say the ideal situation for them is that Aaron Donald plays very well, but he's, already been a journeyman in the NFL after being a top pick out of USC. I think that this is probably one of his best chances to be successful as a quarterback with a quarterback coach that likes to open it up. I mean, he's very creative with his play styles and things like that. And so I just don't know if I see enough or believe enough right now Sam Darnold. I said Aaron Donald, but Sam Darnold to come out and make enough plays, I think, for the Minnesota Vikings to be successful this year. I think that they are going to win 8 games, but I think that they're going to be in the bottom of the division. I don't necessarily see a lot of improvement in the running game. I don't know if they went out there and necessarily addressed the front line like they should have, because that's one of the things when you're talking about running the football. You need to be able to create some space up front. And I'm not sure that Minnesota Vikings team is necessarily going to be the most physical team in the NFC North. And so right now I have them at the bottom. I think they're going to win about 8 games or so. But one of the things that I've decided to do is that after the preseason is over, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do some final predictions after the rosters have been set and injuries and things like that, and take a look at each division. But right now I have them last in this division. So make sure that you press the like and subscribe button and follow the podcast on YouTube. You can also follow me on Spotify as well. And if you like to listen to Bulls basketball, you can also follow me on Bulls Digest. All right. And so this is Rico. This is Real Talk Sports. Thank you to the fans out there who have chimed in on a week-to-week basis to help drive content to the show, and the sponsors out there as well. We will be back and we will be talking about the Detroit Lions and their potential in this upcoming year. All right. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.